As you can see, meat can not only damage your DNA, but it also prevents the RNA from delivering vital information to the ribosomes. And since the ribosomes are the ones that put together the kind of protein needed, then it is safe to say that your body will lose its ability to make what the body needs when the body needs it. And what happens when we can't come up with our own way of healing? We then rely on the medical system, the World Health Organization. WHO. There's a Bible verse that says, God with us, who can be against us? Now that means two things. Who can be against us when God is with us? But it also means, who will be against us? The World Health Organization shall come against us. All right, example. Picture a construction site. This is an example of the ribosomes, okay? Picture a construction site with a chain of commands, okay? The RNA would act as the messenger that lets each worker or ribosome know what he needs to get the job done. So basically, let's say I'm the boss, I'm the ribosome, I'm the RNA, I'm sending you a message from the boss that said, hey, the boss says that you need a drill, some nails, and some 2x4s to complete this job. Now, the ribosome would not know what he needs to do to build the house unless the RNA, which would be me in this analogy, would have received the message from the DNA to transfer the message on. So basically, this guy won't know what to do unless this guy knows what to tell him to do from the source, which is the DNA, which is your identity, the blood of Christ, which explains why healing comes from the blood of Christ by containing the proper DNA coding within you. Okay? Ribosome is not receiving the instructions well on what to build, and let's say that they're building a house in an area that gets frequent hurricanes, and they don't use the proper material for that kind of structure. Instead, they're just putting together a house of straw, and it all falls like the Three Little Pigs story, when the wolf blew the house down. There are more jobs that the RNA do, but this is just a basic way of telling you that meat and impurities destroy and alter DNA and cause all sorts of damage in the vessel. It gets much deeper, but we're not going to go into that. Just wanted to show you a small idea of how important the blood is within you, how important the blood of Christ is within us, and how important it is to maintain our natural genetic code and not let anything like junk food, meat, or parasites or nanobots alter our genetic DNA coding, because we lose who we are. Okay? This is why God commands us not to eat these things. Now, some may say that God says that meat is okay, and they present some Bible verses that they say is proof that meat is okay to eat because God says it's okay. Well, we can put that on the list of permissible things that do not edify. In 1 Corinthians 10:23, it says that all things are lawful, but not all things edify. All things are lawful, that is morally legitimate and permissible, but not all things are beneficial or spiritually legitimate or that benefit you. Basically, that's just the way where God says, hey man, you can eat whatever you want. However, not everything is good for you. It's basically what that verse says. It's not that God is literally telling you, go enjoy life, do whatever you want. It's you yourself have to take the diligence to want to be better. You know, you got to put in the work. It's not just God telling you whatever you can do in this book. You also got to use common sense, is what that verse is saying. Some may say, well, it says on Google that if we cook or freeze the parasites, they'll die and then it's okay. Well, we already went over that. Let's go over it a little bit further. Can dead or cooked parasites still harm the human body? Okay, let's answer that. If you eat a piece of sushi containing a dead anisakis is a parasitic roundworm or a nematode, you risk getting a serious allergic reaction if you have previously been infected by anisakis or nematodes. So if you previously had a parasitic infection, which many of us can't tell whether we did or we didn't, even a dead parasite can still harm and alter your DNA. Wow. So even a dead parasite can still harm and alter your DNA. Can salt and curing kill parasites? Okay. Do not sample meat until it is cooked. Curing, salting, drying, smoking, or microwaving meat alone does not consistently kill infective worms. Homemade jerky and sausage were the cause of many cases of trichinellosis parasite reported in CDC recent years. What animal did God say not to eat? Well, food Bible verses debunked and truly interpreted correctly. One of the main Bible verses that Christians use to justify eating meat and impurities is this one here, 1 Timothy 4, 1 through 5. The Spirit clearly states that in later times some will abandon the faith, or no longer have God's seed within them, and follow deceiving spirits, nanobots, parasites, etc., and things taught by demons. Such teachings come from hypocritical liars, or those without God's Spirit that are hosted by nanobots, parasites, and they lack understanding. Hypocritical liars whose conscience have been seared as with a hot iron, or basically they have lost their spiritual consciousness and are spiritually dead. They forbid people to marry. There is no life multiplying in the body due to the death and destruction within. They forbid those people within you to marry. And they order them to abstain from certain foods. The seed will be instructed by a deceiving leader within, or false Christ like a nanobot, which mimics the Christ within, and the light, to only feed on what is meant to keep the seed working, and rather to destroy than build God's house within. Now, I know that that verse was broken down in a way you're not used to seeing, but it gets deeper. As stated in Romans 7:15, which God created to be received with thanksgiving, those who believe and know the truth. For everything God created is good, and nothing is to be rejected if it is received with thanksgiving, because it is consecrated by the word of God and prayer. Okay, so let's debunk this verse carefully. There's a lot of people consider that verse to mean that as long as you pray over your food, that everything will be okay. Okay, so we're going to go over that next, and I'll be back.